Welcome to the Coach's Corner, part of the Iron Sharpening Iron universe. I'm your host, Davina Lyons, also known as Mama Lyons, and this is where real conversations meet real growth. Here we explore what it means to rise through reflection, resilience, and purpose. One story, one insight, one breakthrough at a time. Whether you're a coach, a leader, or simply on your own personal development journey, this is your space to reflect, identify, stand, and emerge stronger than before. So grab your notebook, take a deep breath, and let's rise together right here in the Coach's Corner.
Welcome to a very special episode of the Coach's Corner. Wow. Today, we're stepping into a conversation that is both timely and deeply meaningful. In a world where so many people feel disconnected and overwhelmed, searching for a place where they truly belong, we're talking about something with the power to transform lives: community. Our topic today is the collective: why community matters more than ever. Community is more than a group of people gathered in one place. It's where we find support during difficult seasons, encouragement when we're ready to grow, and connection when life feels isolating. It's where we discover that we don't have to navigate our challenges alone. I'm honored to be joined by an incredible panel of women who are helping create spaces where people can connect, heal, learn, and thrive. Joining us today is Melanie Shires, founder and visionary behind The Collective, a dynamic community designed to bring together thought leaders, coaches, facilitators, and individuals seeking authentic connection and growth. We're also joined by LaQuincia Nichols, founder of Conflict Clarity Lab and Community Guide within The Collective, whose work helps individuals and organizations navigate difficult conversations with confidence and understanding. And joining us as well is Samantha Gregory, founder of the Self Care Oasis and Living Room Talk facilitator, who is passionate about helping people prioritize wellness, restoration, and intentional self care. Together, we'll explore why community matters now more than ever, what makes a healthy community thrive, how connection impacts our personal and professional lives, and why spaces like the collective are becoming so important in today's world. So settle in, lean into the conversation, and let's talk about the power of belonging, connection, and community. Welcome to the Coach's Corner. Hello, hello, ladies.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, boy, I tell you, technology is interesting. I'm not sure. Something felt like it just happened, but we're here and we're together, and that's all that matters. So
That's
we
it.
made it, right? And what's really cool is usually this episode is I'm usually with one guest, but today I decided to do the panel because I think it's important. We're talking about community, so let's exhibit community in this conversation. So very excited to have you here, and just trying to get it all together here. Here we go. A little bit of techno stuff going on. All right, so how are we?
Doing
I'm
great. Doing fantastic.
excited.
Yeah, yeah. All right,
Yes.
good.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing us to have just a space on the Coach's Corner. This is amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
I'm so happy to do this. It's so timely. In the introduction, I didn't mention that I too am a part of the collective. and hosting living room talk. And I also have a community there. So we're going to get into that and talk about it. But let's start out with Positively Melanie, because this is her brain baby. This is her creation, her masterpiece, and she's brought us in. And so it's really exciting. So let's just jump into it.
Okay, so
Melanie,
where do you want to start? Like why I decided to do this? You know,
I want to.
you know, it's kind of it's kind of interesting because we're all, you know, coaches and facilitators in our own right and have our own businesses. And, you know, I'm constantly meeting these fabulous women who are supporting and empowering other women in their own way, right? In their own businesses, their own brands. And it's kind of twofold, right? Like I've always wanted to have a community to help and serve and support, you know, women, because that's who are my clients. But at the same time, I'm finding that where a big gap was, and I didn't realize this as much until the first living room talk and the after effects of that talk, I was getting emails from people saying this was really nice to have a space for us as coaches and facilitators to have a space where we could just breathe and be, because usually you're helping and supporting and, you know, guiding and nurturing others. So it was really nice for all of us to have a space to just be human, be women, be vulnerable, be all the things, right? So that was really impactful to me, because I'm like, wow, this is so much bigger than what I initially envisioned. So when I first, in all honesty, the reason why I wanted to have a community is because, like many coaches and facilitators and teachers and the like, I have a 8-week program, right? And it's an intensive, and it is very deep soul work. So it's something that, you know, people are really ready, willing, and able when they participate in something like this. And most coaches have some type of flagship or, you know, high ticket coaching program that they pull people through so they can really get transformation. So it's a transformative type of experience. With that kind of work, right? You have women who are, or even if it's women and men, but you have your clients that need something additional to just the, you know, the session that you're going through, especially when it comes to actual transformation. Because again, you have the awareness, then you have the knowing. So, and that's where the work is happening in those transformative, you know, immersives. But then what happens after, right? A lot of times there's a big gap between the knowing and the embodying, or the integration into the day-to-day, right? So then you have people who they get the lessons, they learn the tools, they're doing the thing inside of your experience or intensive. But then what happens when they go back to their lives, the 9 to 5, or when they go back to, you know, every day, when they are 3 months out, 6 months out, 2 years out from the program, right? It's that piece that is the, okay, now what? How am I going to hold myself accountable? Even though, yes, we know we need to hold ourselves accountable, it's so much easier when you have a community or a tribe, which is why AA and all of the, you know, great programs that try to help people break addiction, it isn't just about breaking the addiction. It is about what happens afterwards. We gather in community on a consistent basis to make sure that people are integrating into their day to day. And there's times when you will slip, which is why everyone has an accountability partner. So that when you are sitting at the bar, like, oh my God, I'm about to take this drink, Bob, please come and get me. It's the same thing with soul work, right? So it's like you know what you need to do, but life be lifing, right? I mean, you understand that things happen. And so when those moments happen, yes, you can have your, you know, your visual anchors and all the tools and the practices that you learned, but there's nothing better than having a consistent tribe or community that you can go to that will not only reinforce what you've known or know, but also to let you know you're not alone. if you're slipping back into, behaviors and patterns that, are something that's kind of on autopilot, and you're trying very hard to integrate the new things that you're learning. So for me, community was important to attach to my program. However, again, seeing how a community can actually help us coaches and facilitators also was just very exciting to me. And I didn't really realize that until I started to meet with other women who were doing similar work and aligned work, and talking to people like you guys who are like, you know what, this would be great to have a community within this community. Then I started looking at it very differently. I started looking at it, instead of all of us, with our flashlights, going into our own communities and helping women in our communities, which we are doing and we will continue to do. Wouldn't it be wonderful to bring all of these great experts and guides and coaches with their flashlights? Now we have a group of now we can have a lighthouse. So now the light beam goes real far, right? Because there's more light. So it goes really far. And now all the boats are coming to the lighthouse, right? Because now it doesn't matter if I'm in Samantha's world, or if I'm in Melanie's world, or if I'm in Q's world. I can come to the lighthouse and have Q, but then also have Melanie and Samantha and Davina, right? Or I can have Melanie and I can have, you see what I'm saying? And so now it becomes a much bigger thing, a much bigger vision, a much more impactful place, where now it's not just Melanie supporting and empowering women. Now it is a tribe of women who are aligned to support and empower other women, and how more impactful that is, right? Because now you're compounding the goodness, right? You're impacting on a more, you're impounding that impact, is what I'm trying to say. So, I look at it now as Collective as a lighthouse, and Positively Melanie is just one of the many that is helping to, bring about this change, this impact on a global scale.
Yeah. And it's really, really, I get a good visual when you describe that, because I do see this huge beacon, and then people are drawn and attracted to it. And that's really what this is all about, is bringing us to a place where people can get more value, come and join. And the other thing is that you work with, high performing women mainly, right? And I think there's a misnomer that people think that, well, high performing women don't need this kind of, well, yes, we do, because we pour out so much that who's pouring into us. And that is, that gives us, it allows us to be more effective at what we do. So I really love and appreciate, and I've been a part of the bigger intensive. I really, really got a lot. I mean, it was so much that it was so amazing to me. I thought I had it together. I thought I was, you know what I mean? Q, you relate? Like, I thought I had it together, and there was some things that were coming out like, oh, okay, I'm still working on that, because none of us completely arrive. But it only helps to reinforce our businesses, right?
And I think that's one of the things.
So go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I wanted to piggyback on what you just said, especially about the high performing women. Not only the high performing women, but again, like I said, us in the business of supporting and empowering women, right? Because just because I am helping other women to reconnect with their inner authority and learn some things doesn't mean that I have it all together, like that I'm the master and know it all. No, I am still and will continue for the rest of my life be improving and evolving as a human being. And so I think that's the misnomer that people feel like, well, if she's a coach, or if she's helping high performing women and leaders, then she doesn't need spaces like this. Actually, we need it more than ever, just like you said, because we're pouring out. And I think that's why the response for other coaches and facilitators were like, it's really good to have a space where we could just be. Because in general, people who are high performers, regardless of what you do for a living or what space you're in, you are performing, and you're performing on a regular basis, and you have to perform. We're always being evaluated and measured by our performance, right? How much money are you bringing into the company? How many people are you closing? How many, it's real. How many people are you helping? And so because we are constantly performing, proving, trying to persevere, it is really nice to have community where you can just, you can just be.
Absolutely.
And that you can, have other people who are supportive and who share with you, you can learn from, they can help support you. Just listening a lot of times is what is a beautiful thing. I just need somebody to listen to what I'm going through and to shake their head and say, you know what, girl, I understand, and not feel judged because I should have it all together because I am a high performing, or because I am the SVP of whatever company, or because I am the facilitator of the conflict clarity lab and everybody should, I know, right? Sometimes you just want to be like, yes, I am those things. And yes, I do, I am high achieving, but I too need a place where I can get recharged, that my battery can get recharged, that I can have a safe space to say things that honestly I can't say in my professional, but I want to be able to say them because I have frustrations too. I have challenges.
Absolutely.
Right. So
absolutely. Yeah. So we know as the founder, where you're coming from. I'd like to hear from Samantha and Q. I'm sorry, LaQuincia, but I'm LaQuincia. I just love calling you
Call
Q.
me Quincy. Call me Q. Call me Q.
Okay, it's okay. All right, because that's what I just love that.
I know.
Okay,
because we're beyond the formalities. We have been in each other's orbit for a very long time now. So to go back to like this very formal thing feels very strange, right?
Right. Thank you. We
were about to start performing like we didn't know each other when we are already in community and relationship with each other.
I love it. So talk to me from your perspective, Q, and then Samantha, I'd like to hear from you as well, on what this collective means to you.
Absolutely.
Because we got Melanie definitely knows her vision and executed well, and we're on the receiving end. What does it mean to you?
For me, it means a place where I can be a little bit more hands off, right? And it's still something that is strategically aligned to my business and the spaces that I want to be in. But I think for me, it came in at a very different place, or it fulfilled a gap that I was trying to figure out. But coming off, so something that as I continue, I would say to be on the coach's corner, because I'm going to speak it into existence and I'll be back. But one thing I love to do is I love to read. And if you spend any time around me, one of the books I truly, truly love is Who Not How, right? It's one of my favorites. And for me, I was in a space to where I had enough sort of iterations of my signature program, which is called my Conflict Clarity Lab. It's a 5-week live intensive to where we take one conversation, we work through it strategically. How are you going to set this conversation up so you stay in your power, you don't abandon yourself, you don't shut down, and we don't lean on blame, right? Now, I've had some wonderful participants go through the experience. They love it. They enjoy it. But to my sort of rubber meets the road point was what happens after? I only have so much time as I am growing and like growing my business, but also growing sort of my position as a thought leader in my niche and things of that nature. But I also can appreciate community and that ongoing nurturing support, right? And so for me, it then became Melody was my who, right? Who do I know that is amazing at community building? Who is going to do it in a much better way than I'm ever going to do it myself? And if I can leverage the other community guides, the other facilitators within the community, then guess what? When I'm not able to be in the room directly, my people who still need support, they can be nurtured, they can be fed, they can still have people who are maybe questioning them with some polite thought starters on just how are they thinking about how they're showing up in certain spaces, what are the ways that maybe they want to think about change. And it's all done in this sort of place to where we've already decided how we're going to show up for each other in a very authentic way, in a very responsible way. And for me, that's the type of room I wanted to be in. So I thought, well, I don't need to create something, because a part of community is also understanding what we all bring to the tribe, right? Melanie's
Right.
strength is building it. My strength is going, I have this framework. Let's do this together, because I do believe in the old adage, we go further together than we do individually, right? And I also think, just being very transparent within this call, oftentimes there's this space where women who look like us, where we're not working together, we're all trying to create these different swim lanes. And let's just maybe try something different, right? Let's make this collective not about just Black women or women of color, but a space where we can all show up and truly support each other intentionally, and just say, listen, there are some behaviors that maybe we don't align with, and we're going to allow the people who want to operate within those sort of standards and expectations, but that doesn't roll here. Our expectations for ourselves and our standards are higher, and we're okay with that. And to be in this space, you're going to have to rise, right? Because we are wanting to create an environment where, as women, we can grow together. And if I can't grow with you, then I can't be in community with you long term. So that's why I'm here.
Right.
Woo! There's so much I want to put a pin on that one. Yeah, look, thank you for saying rise, because that's my platform.
Yes.
I love it.
Yes.
Samantha, let's hear it. What's your thought?
Yeah, my perspective is similar to everyone else's, but I think for me, in thinking about just how our society is operating right now, and the isolation people feel, even though we're on social media, even though we are in the space where we're all connected, but we're really disconnected. And I feel like being in community is kind of the antidote for that. It's also like the kind of the cure for that, depending on the person. And I think this kind of community, especially for women who are doing transformative work, is important, because we being like we mentioned earlier, giving so much of ourselves, so much of our energy. I see this also as a form of self-care and self-devotion, because we're getting to a space where we're connecting with people who are doing this a similar work as we are, who understands where we are, understands the challenges that we may have, understands the obstacles that we may run up against. And being women of color, Black women specifically, we understand the nuances that we have to face and the disappointments, et cetera. And so I think it gets us out of the isolation. It helps us feel connected to energy that expands us versus depletes us. And so I think that's one of the main reasons why I really love this idea of the collective and being a part of it. And I know too, like Quincy said, sometimes you aren't the builder of these type of things. I'm not a builder of a extensive community like this, but I can be a part of it, and I can invite other people into it. And I know where my lane is. I know that coming in and having conversations and being instrumental in not just helping our clients, but helping each other to remember ourselves. Remember that you need rest. Remember that you need to pour into yourself. Remember that your rest is a strategy, and it's not just an escape. It's not any of those things. But when we can come together and have these conversations, we give each other permission to be deeply rooted and make that the foundation, instead of it just being, oh, let me just go, escape for a second into this group. No, this is foundational. This is where we are built up so that we can go and do expansive work for others, and we can be expanded ourselves. So, it helps with the isolation. It helps with the expansion. It helps with getting, especially out of that loneliness that we can feel as coaches and consultants and people who are doing this work. We're constantly creating, we're constantly showing up. But then it's just like, I'm by myself, I'm alone. Does anybody understand? So I think this is just really a great solution to that. And I think it's going to continue to expand as more and more practitioners realize, I don't have to do this by myself. There is a sisterhood. There is a collective. There is an opportunity for me to talk with people who get it. And so that's what excites me about this, and just makes me want to dive in and share my gifts, and also be fed as well by other practitioners who understand.
Yes. Once again, thank you. The perspectives are all wonderful. If I to give mine, everything that you guys said, I totally agree with. And my rising resilience, I'm all about helping people be able to not just the cliche of bounce back, because we get that. That's how the word's been used for centuries, right? But it's there's so much more to it. There's actually structure and a process to being resilient, and I think a lot of people miss that. And what I think is wonderful about the community is that we are able to reinforce all of our frameworks. We're able to reinforce and show up and demonstrate what we mean by sharing our own stories, by sharing our lives, and sharing, for those who have the opportunity to be able to express themselves within the community. It helps us all grow. It helps us all become more resilient. It helps us to, again, not only transform, but be the examples, the models for others to transform. And I think I don't even know if there are other communities out there necessarily like this. There may be, I'm sure there is, but one thing that being this close to this has been eye-opening for me. And I think women sometimes have a reputation for not being close. The what I can't think of the word right now, but basically it's like a stereotype of, oh, women don't get along or this, that, or the other. And it's not true. I have met some amazing women through Melanie because she's a master connector. But really, it's just not true. And if you're not putting yourself in a place where you can find that out, you won't know. So join the collective. Excuse me. So with that, I'm losing my voice all at once. It's just great.
You're so excited. That's why, you're just like
my voice is just
bursting out. Mm-hmm. Can I jump in and say something that you kind of touched on, and I kind of want to get all of your insight into this too, because I know that we all have been we've been challenged with this in some form throughout our not only lives, but especially now that we are business owners or whatever. It's this whole notion of competition versus collaboration, right? And so for me, I have always been someone who loves collaboration. I mean, my whole career, I've been in marketing and advertising, and that is an industry that thrives on collaboration. I mean, you're not going to do well if you are not good at collaborating, right? And brainstorming and bringing up ideas and whatever. And you said something, Davina, where you were like, women have this reputation of not getting along. And yes, there are some women who don't get along with other women. I mean, that's just fact and reality. However, you're right. There are a lot of women who would love to, be in this sisterhood. I do believe there is something very sacred about sisterhood, like true sisterhood, not let's slap on a smile and be nice to one another, but then behind backs, folks are talking or whatever. And I wrote about this, and maybe I'll do a living room talk about this, the difference between kind and nice, because there is a difference. Kind is genuine. Nice is what we've been taught, especially little. Be nice, play nice. Now, don't do that, Susie. You need to be nice, but that's not, you need to be authentic and real. It's you need to be nice. And nice means just smile, but then you can still talk about the girl behind her back, right? Yeah, no. So yes, there are people like that, but I do believe that there are more of us who thrive on sisterhood, and we go farther when we have this bond. I mean, women in general, we're nurturers. And when you think about your closest relationships, I mean, think about that. I have soulmates that are female. They're soulmates. I mean, they are soulmates like my husband. I'm saying that I need those relationships. They give me what I need on so many levels, right? And they are just as important in different ways, because we can be very intimate and very close and nurturing. That's just how we are. If we lean into that and we are open and vulnerable and not so, it's me against them, right? And I think that's something that has been instilled as you grow up, right? It's kind of like, I can't share anything because they might take it, or I can't, I can't collaborate with this person because they may take my idea, or oh my God, we're all coaches. How in the world could we work together? Because now we're going after the same client. I don't even look at it that way. But there are people literally who are like, you know what? Why in the world would I get into community with other women who are doing similar work, supporting and impacting and empowering other women? Then isn't that going to narrow the pie for me? And I think it's the complete opposite, right? And so I think that it's important that we all kind of highlight this, because I do think there's a lot of women out there that still have this mindset. And why do we have this mindset? So I'm just curious. I mean, what do you, Q, and Samantha and Davina think about that? Like, for me, I think collaboration surely outweighs any kind of competition. There is no competition. No one can, even if we're talking about the exact same thing and we are, our ideal client profile is the exact same. No one, and this is what I teach, no one can be Melanie better than Melanie. No one can be Q better than Q. No one can be Samantha better than Samantha. No one can be Davina better than Davina. And so there are going to be people who are going to resonate more with Q, not because they don't like Melanie, Samantha, or Davina, but because Q, whatever that is, they resonate more, right? And so I can't take Q's secret sauce. Me and Q could talk about the exact same thing. We can help the exact same demographic. But there's always going to be this individual secret sauce that you as an individual hold. And if you lean into that, if you tap into that, then you're going to be confident and not worry about what Melanie's talking about, Davina's talking about, Samantha's talking about, Q is talking about, because guess what? If anything, we help to reinforce each other. And the analogy I want to give everybody, think about this. Why is it that every time you see a McDonald's, a Burger King is not far away? Why is it that every time you see certain type of restaurants or certain type of businesses, their competitors are very close by? Because, and then this is a market, because they understand that proximity, right? If you have people who are in the market for a burger, it is much more likely that you're going to, again, they're lighthouses. There's 4 burger joints in a proximity. That's the lighthouse. It's bringing all the hungry people who want a hamburger. It's bringing them to the area, right? Now, there is a more, there's a 50-50 chance they're going to go to McDonald's or Burger King, but guess what? They have a higher percentage of getting more people coming to that area and buying their burgers than if one is way across town, the other one's across, you know what I'm saying? So just think about that. But in life, when you go around and you see that there are businesses that are competitors, right? Verizon's right next to a T-Mobile store. Why is that? There is a strategic reason for that, right? And so that's what I don't understand why we don't do that, which is why I wanted to do something like this. So what are you guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would say a lot of times, well, just say, for instance, me, I grew up in a cult. And my experience in a cult, someone else could say, wow, she understands exactly, because I also was in a cult. And I feel like her message could resonate more with me because she gets me. So I think that's, has to do with, even though we may have the same message, the same work, the same client profile, as it were, those, like you said, the differences with our experiences is what makes it possible and make the pie so much bigger than a lot of people. People are so fighting over this one little slice, but I'm like, well, there's a whole pie here. Why? And there's so many different flavors of the pie. So why are we fighting over that? So I think it's just our voice, our experiences, and how we connect with people, because I'm more calm. I'm an introvert, and I may attract more people who are calm introverts, and because they can't handle a very high energy kind of person. So I think when we can think about it from that perspective, and how we bring different gifts to the conversation, to the work, then we can readily release the idea that there should be competition.
That's so good. Yeah. Q, what did you say?
I love the idea of this conversation regarding collaboration versus competition, because to me, it's loaded. And I feel like we don't have time, but I'm going to sort of bullet point myself. when I think about it going, sort of as far back, when you think of like sort of early education days for people, maybe in like the early 40s or the 50s, right? There was a lot of focus on group projects, right? And working together as a group. And then at a certain point, it became do your own work, right? To the point to where I can remember being a child and like covering my paper so no one else could copy my answers. Then, right, you go to, if you decide to go to college, then you have this sort of ranking system, whether you're on whatever list. You move into the corporate world. Sometimes you have a stack rank. Sure, we all want to collaborate and bring up partners, but at the end of the year, when it's time to talk about bonuses, guess what? We're ranking everybody from 1 to 100. And that then it reinforces all these little pieces of competition is prioritized over collaboration, because sometimes it has to hit the pocket, right? For me, where I have to sit back and start to really think about it is every time I go into the grocery store. So very much like the two burger stand options, right? I go into the grocery store. I let that bread aisle be my inspiration every time, because there are so many different options for bread, right? And you can look at it at one point and say, we don't need any more bread. But clearly, each of those companies has space on their shelf because there's a clientele that is coming in and purchasing that bread. So whether it is, for us out here locally in Arizona, if it's the Fry's brand of bread versus Wonder Bread versus Sara Lee, right? They have their unique audiences, and them being in proximity to the other doesn't have any issue in terms of what they may get. Now, what I do think sometimes it does require for you to sharpen your sword, right? You may have to get better because of the people are around you. And you can either leverage that energy for insecurity or leverage it for motivation to say, you know what, there is an opportunity for me to do better. I do see what someone's doing. That's inspiring to me, rather than me wanting for them to slow down. How do I speed up? How do I start thinking about that business different? So for me, it's a lot about the mindset, right? And reframing some of it just to say, where is this an opportunity for me to think about I can do a little bit more, rather than asking the other people to slow down? That's just my thoughts.
Wow. This is good
I love
stuff.
that. Woo.
I want to,
Yeah.
I do. I love that. But I want to right now, let's stop for a moment and let's talk to the listener who's not a coach, who's not who doesn't consider themselves to be high performing. Is the collective a place for them too? Absolutely.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So for someone on the fence who is thinking whatever they're talking about sounds good, but I'm not a coach, I'm not whatever. Let's talk about what that's like to get them involved, because this is where people, in my opinion, a lot of people are called to a purpose and they haven't realized what it is yet. They haven't realized what it is that they're supposed to do. I've had so many women say to me, I don't know what it is I'm supposed to be doing. Not happy with what I'm doing, but I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Is this a place for them as well? Talk about it, ladies.
Oh, I would say absolutely. I would say absolutely, because I believe all human beings, regardless of if you're, to me, high performing, when I talk about high performing, I'm just saying, there are women who are leaders of teams, of companies, of households. Okay. So even if you are, it doesn't matter about what your profession is, that has nothing to do with it. We all need to sometimes reconnect with our inner authority, meaning our self-trust and inner knowing. That's what I mean when I talk about inner authority. And I'm not just talking about women who are, senior vice presidents. No, I'm talking about any person,
right?
Because a lot of people are walking around in false identity. They need to really understand who they are, because like all of us have kind of mentioned here, a lot of this stuff starts when you're young. We have been conditioned through our upbringing, and I'm saying societally, I'm not saying individual households, I'm saying societally, we are told that we can't be individual. You know why? That's rebellion. You need to do what everybody else is doing. And if you're not doing what everybody else is doing, something's wrong with you. So that starts, and that starts young, right? So, little girls are like, well, I like climbing trees. Oh, you must be a tomboy. Like the labels start, then you shouldn't be doing this, or you should be doing that, starts very young. And then we start second-guessing ourselves, right? And it's like,
Right.
well, I like this, but everybody else likes that. Is something wrong with me? Maybe I shouldn't like that. So I'm going to change because I want to fit in. And that happens all throughout your life. I mean, and then at certain points, like I always talk about midlife, because that's usually the point 40 plus when people start doing reflection, because they have been living their life up to a point and they're wondering why there's this quiet friction, because they've ticked all the boxes, right? Because again, we're taught to get reaffirmation and validation externally, right? Mom, Dad, look at this. That was great, Melanie. Thank you. Oh, look, I got all A's. Oh, that's great. And just like you said, and it continues on. Oh my God, I got the most sales. That's great. You get the promotion, you get the whatever, come up on stage at the end of the year. And a lot of times, and I don't want to get into this about those types of things, it ends up chipping away at us slowly, because a lot of times what we really want, what we really feel, our true identity, is getting pushed farther and farther down, because now we are performing and we are getting external validation, right? I mean, anyone who's a performer knows that crowd clapping, cheering, whatever that is, endorphin, like that lights them up.
It's a drug.
That's what we're seeking. It is a drug, right? And so it's not until we get to be the age where we're like, okay, I've ticked all the boxes, but why am I still unsatisfied? Why is there still this quiet friction? And that's where usually the reflection starts coming in, and people go on sabbaticals and there's all kinds of reasons. But the thing is that it's because a lot of people have been disconnected from their true identity. They've taken on another, they've slapped on the mask, they're performing, right? And then you get good at performing, you get rewarded for performing, but it's also draining and tiring, right? And it's also hard to keep up, right? So over time, it starts to wear on you if you're living somebody else's life and not yours. And there's a lot of people who are in professions, I've talked to them, because their parents were lawyers. They have a law firm. So of course you're told from a young age, you're going to be a lawyer and you're going to work in the law practice. And that's what you just go on autopilot, and you think that's what you want. But secretly you've always wanted to, I don't know, be a musician, whatever. But that you push that aside because no, I'm going to go to law school like my brother, like my dad, like my mom, and I'm going to work in the law firm. Right. And then you go and then you work in the law firm
business
until the family
then
business. You're like, okay.
Always. Yep. So
I want to. Go ahead.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
I want to segue a little bit, because I mean everything you're saying is spot on. And so the difference between a social group and what we have with the collective, definitely. I want to touch on so the living room talk. And Samantha, you're a living room talk leader, right? So I want to talk a little bit. I also am leading one coming up pretty soon. But this is where I think this a unique value to the collective is having these conversations, and especially for the people who aren't sure where they want to be, or aren't sure what exactly are they bringing to the table. It's first getting in and feeling comfortable with community. So Samantha, you're leading. Talk about the one you're going to lead, and what is it about, and how you think it'll benefit people.
Yeah, so I am leading a conversation, and this is what living room talks are about. It's a conversation, not a facilitator who's teaching, but here's an issue, here's a subject or a topic that we want to just have a conversation about, and bringing people in and having the exchange. And I think that exchange is really important because people want to be heard. And when we're bringing the topic in, and mine specifically is self-care versus self-devotion, and having that conversation on how is self-care working out for you, because we think about bubble baths, we think about massage, and those things are great. I think those are self-care practices, but how is it working for you? Are you caught up in a loop of burnout relief, and so we're going to have this conversation about, is it really working for you? And I think that a lot of people are silently suffering, and they're like, well, I've been doing everything they've been telling me to do. These are the things I've said I really need to do. So why is it not working? What else do I need to do? what are some of the issues and the problems that I'm coming up against? And how can I get, some input, some feedback from the people in this group, not just about a solution, but what's the reality of it? Because I have a really busy life. I'm transitioning through different phases of my life. I'm in the sandwich generation where I'm taking care of parents and kids, and what can actually work for me. And so this is what the living room is all about. It's about having these discussions and being really real and raw and allowing yourself to come forward, without shame, without guilt, without being policing yourself or filtering yourself. But it's just really a connection place where my voice can be heard, or I can just listen. A lot of times people don't want to talk, but they just want to hear. They want to be able to absorb and then kind of fill it out and say, okay, I'm going to sleep on this. I've heard the conversation, and what can I do to change it? And so by being in these type of conversations inside the living room, the collective then becomes a really tangible place where I can go. I feel belonging. I feel seen. I feel heard, and I can ask questions, and I will not be judged. So I think that's one of the main parts that I really, really love about the collective, and for all the women that are going to come in and get these conversations and topics, that are relevant for them today, and that's impacting them today.
That's good. Very good. Very, as you were talking, I was thinking about how, um, because we've already experienced, Melanie led our first living room talk, and how for some reason I walked away feeling so much better, so different. Like it wasn't like your normal, you networking or any of that stuff that we're used to. This was sacred. And not only was and I think it's the privacy of it. I think it's knowing that, hey, there's not going to be a video released. There's not a recording released. This is a true private, sacred moment to have a very transparent conversation and to learn from others. So that's just one feature of the collective, but very important feature. And then now the other thing is the communities within. So Quincy, talk about the your community within the collective.
Yes, thank you. I'm like really, really excited about this community within. So what I'll start with is I am not a therapist, right? So if you need any sort of talk therapy, please see a professional. I am a licensed and certified coach. I'm a certified coach, right? No licensing, certified. I come with a background of over 20 years of corporate leadership. And I always like to share with people, I'm a girl who grew up in Southern California between the 80s and the 2000s. So I've seen conflict handled in many different ways. And I'm on a mission to really help people, but especially women, think about it in a way of how maybe can I show up differently in these situations rather than putting the blame and the responsibility on someone else. Because oftentimes it's related to choices that we don't want to have to make. And so what I'm really excited about with the Conflict Clarity Lounge is it's a space that's a little bit more low stakes, right? I have my Conflict Clarity Lab, and that's really rich and robust and intense. But here it is truly about let's just take a softer and quieter approach to some of these conversations that we have maybe have been replaying in our head, maybe that we've never been able to voice to anyone else. And I think what's important about whether you're in the lounge, whether you're in the resilience area that you have, Davina, but when you're a part of the collective, as you start doing some of this sort of inner, deeper work within yourself, you are going to start to make shifts. And some of the old rooms that you used to be in don't feel appropriate, right? Because now you have a heightened level of awareness around some things. Maybe you are changing the standards that you have for yourself. But also sometimes the people in those rooms, they're scared to see you grow. They're scared to see you evolve and change because that oftentimes can hold up a reflection, right, of what they haven't done. Sometimes some of the broken promises that they've made to themselves, the lack of accountability they've had for themselves, right? You think about sometimes when you see someone who may start working out, their friend group changes because the habits, the conversations, the activities that they're doing are different now, right? And it's not about being better or worse. It's just that I have found community, common interests with other people, and we're doing other things. I'm having deeper and richer conversations. So within the Conflict Clarity Lounge, it is really about how do I show up in these moments where I maybe have been avoiding, I have been shrinking, I have not maybe raised my hand for that promotion. Maybe I have not raised my hand to my partner to say, you know what, I really don't like this. Or maybe I have not raised my hand at work to say, you know, this job felt really, really great 10 years ago, but the woman who I've grown into is no longer satisfied with this same type of situation. And so it is about really thinking about some of the choices that we want to make, right? Because that is conflict, whether that's internal or external. Conflict is not always, I need to cuss someone out, I need to confront someone. Sometimes it's, I need to have a hard conversation with myself, right? Where have I not been showing up? Where do I need to make sure that I'm being honest, right? And that I'm clear on what it is that I want, because oftentimes we are so upset because people weren't able to read our mind of what we wanted, and we penalize them for that, right? But we've never given ourselves the opportunity to be bold and to be very forward and direct in our communication to say, this is what I want. These are my expectations. These are my standards. And if you can still roll with it, it's great. If not, now I know that. And this is where the people stop sometimes. Because you're unwilling, now I need to make a different decision. Having that additional information sometimes is where it gets scary. That's where we back away from the conflict, because we want for them to just say, okay, I'll change. If they say no, then what are you going to do? Right. And then sometimes in that, you need a support system around you, right? Who are the people that are going to continue to anchor you to the change that you said that you wanted to make? The collective provides that, right? In the Conflict Clarity Lounge, it's the ability to come back and say, well, wait a minute. Remember when you started this conversation, you wanted this as an outcome. So we're going to stay anchored to getting there. Now, if the goal needs to change because maybe it's not the priority, it's not what you wanted anymore, that's fine. But we don't change the goal just because it makes someone else uncomfortable. We change the goal because maybe that's no longer aligned, or we get there and we're like, it's not what I thought, right? So I'll go a different way. But for me, it is truly all about, we don't have to ghost, right? We've all been in a networking room and you're kind of like, oh, I hope this person doesn't come over here and talk to me, right? Because there could be some unresolved thing that hasn't been talked about. And as growing up, I always was in a mindset of, I can feel when there's tension in the room. I can feel when there's an elephant in the room. I can feel when there's something that should be talked about, but we're not, because no one wants to really sit down and have to be transparent about what is going on. Because once we say it out loud, you have to own those words. And now we have to start making different decisions. So Conflict Clarity Lounge is a place to say, you know what? Maybe sometimes, listen, and for my girls, I want you to go to church and go to Bible study on Wednesday, do all the things, but sometimes you can give it all to Jesus, but sometimes Jesus wants for you to take the wheel for yourself and say, what are you going to do with this now? I've empowered you to make the decisions that are right for you. So either you have to end up in that boldness and that confidence, or you're going to continue to figure out how to blame everyone else around you because they're not willing to make the changes to satisfy you. When all it takes is one change. You make the change in you and you allow the other people to make a decision on if that change aligns with them.
Oh my God. Q, sign me up. I'm going to your
she's got a living room talk, and it's about this very thing. So it is.
Gosh, I can't wait.
It's in August.
You know, okay, I'll be there for sure. Yes. But this is so powerful. I want to jump back to Samantha real quick, and I want to give Samantha that opportunity to share Self-Care Alchemist. Talk about that. What's that about?
Sure. So Self-Care Alchemy came about because I was in a state of burnout for a long time. I mentioned I was in the cult. I was very religious growing up. I was very people-pleasing, giving myself away, getting into toxic relationships. And I reached a rock bottom moment where I said, diagnosed with premature ovarian failure or early menopause at 33. And I just had to say, you know what, this is not the answer. I cannot do this anymore. And so I went on a radical selfishness and self-care journey. And while I was learning how to manage my symptoms with a 3-year-old, I knew that I had to go deeper and figure out what's the cause of this. And so I knew that it was chronic stress. I learned that it was chronic stress, adrenal fatigue, high cortisol, and it wasn't just the physical symptoms, it was the mental, it was the emotional, it was all the ways I gave myself away. And I had to learn to alchemize that pain, alchemize the overgiving and people pleasing, and turn it into a self-care practice, a lifestyle, not just let me just go and do a few things here, go get a massage here, do a bubble bath every week. It had to become an internal process, not an external extraction of a practice that's going to make me feel better, because it just wasn't going to work. And so transforming that burnout into better boundaries, more balance, and shameless bliss through radical self-devotion is where I stand. It is the foundation. And that's what I teach women how to do. And not just from a mental standpoint, it's a somatic, it's a body thing. It's where you have to really go deep inside of the nervous system, and where you've been bracing your entire life. Because I was just bracing for impact. I was performing. I was just doing all these things that so many Black women specifically deal with on a daily, because this is our culture. This is what we have been forced to do, guilted into doing, manipulated into doing, gaslit into doing. And so I'm like, you can get off that roller coaster, you can break up with burnout, and you can embrace shameless bliss, and you can do this through your self-devotion practices. It sounds selfish, but that's the point. We have to be more selfish so that we can fill ourselves up, so that we can become the better, best, most expansive version of ourselves, so that we are not giving from depletion. So we're not giving from empty place, but we're giving from a place where we're full, we're at capacity, we're over capacity, we're overflowing. And that's where everything comes from. And so it's no longer from this place of strong Black woman. It's no longer from this place of, let me give my very last so that everyone else can be happy and so they can be pleased with me. But I want to be pleased with myself first, so that other people can bask in the glow of this light that I'm putting out, and not the dimming myself because of what everybody says or what they feel, or because I feel like I'm just going to leave someone else out. But you put yourself first, everybody else can be included. So that's what I do. That's how I share. That's how I teach. And I also do EFT, which I think every woman needs to learn. You absolutely need to learn EFT so you can release, from a somatic and nervous system perspective, everything that's holding you back, so that self-devotion does not feel so bracing. It doesn't feel so foreign to you, but it just becomes the lifestyle that you live.
So this is so rich. Listen, this is just 2 women, and there's so many more involved in the collective, but this is so rich just in what Samantha and Q alone have shared. And just imagine all of the other, and I know right now I'm sounding so infomercialish. I'm sorry.
But wait, there's more.
Just wait, there is so much more. But it's the truth. It's the truth. This is amazing. Melanie, I want to share to anyone watching this, the contact also for getting to the collective that's on the screen. But guys, come on. This is just so exciting to be a part of. You hear about resilience all the time from me, so I'm not going to take up time for that right now. What I will say is that stay connected. For all that are listening, stay connected to the collective. It is positivelymelanie.com/the collective. Please make sure that you check it out, because you're going to see Samantha, you're going to see Q or Quincy, you're going to see myself, and of course Melanie, and so many other amazing women with so much to offer. The living room talks are I can't even express adequately how cool the living room talk is, because it's just something that you can't show up and not get something from it. You just can't. There's just too much brilliance in one spot. I'm so grateful for those of us who decided to join the collective and to push it forward. I made this time on the Coach's Corner today because Why not? This is about coaches. It's not just one. There's plenty, right? And this is where you'll find us. So, anything else you ladies want to add or say? Anybody want to, any closing thoughts that you'd like to share with our listeners?
Yeah, I think just
I just
from
want to say
my end in
this warms my heart.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
yeah,
Go ahead, Q.
yeah,
Melanie.
Go ahead, Q.
I would just say, as I would say, our sort of resident conflict. I don't like the word guru, but I would say go-to is what really, we say we don't like conflict. What we don't like is the chaos that comes from conflict that isn't resolved properly. So give yourself an opportunity to learn a way to do it differently, and I think you'll have some strategies that will carry forth yourself and also your family.
Good one. I just learned something. That's chaos. Okay, I like that. Very good. Very good. I want to definitely take a page out of Samantha's book and become more selfish. Uh, I need to do the self care more. So, no matter how much time we think, how much we learn as being coaches, we also can learn a lot more, and that's a space that I'm in. So, there's something for everyone in this collective. So, I really love that. Melanie, any closing thoughts?
No, I was just going to say, it just warms my heart because this is something, like I said, that I had envisioned, and I'm starting to see those seeds starting to blossom. And this is just wonderful because I do think that, we all need spaces like this. When I say we all as women, whether you are someone who is a coach or not, we need spaces. We need sacred female sisterhood spaces. And so this is, it's making me, this is what lights me up. And I'm just hoping that this continues to grow and, our community continues to grow.
And it shall, for sure. I want to thank you guys for taking time on Sunday to join the Coach's Corner. Yes, Q, you will be back. Samantha, you will be back. I will have you in different episodes. We'll have that one-to-one time and share more about what you offer, as well as others I'm sure that'll be a part of the collective. But this is fantastic. Hang in there. Don't hang up because I want to talk to you about something else. So stay in. I'm going to say goodbye to our listeners, but not to you. And again, whether you listen now or you listen later in the replay, please make sure you make sure you share this community, make sure you share the Coach's Corner, and please don't hesitate to comment and give your thoughts, and look us up in the collective as well. All right. So for now, I'm going to say, see you later.